Remember this on Monday? Remember the Triple H apology video to Tony Khan, an apology video? What it could be better than what we played on Monday? The full cut, the full apology. Triple H, Tony Khan. Make sure you pay attention to the background. Little Easter eggs that if you're not looking, you'll get a good laugh out of.
Hook has a 28-1 career record.
I will tell you what the entire world is thinking about you.
Sparks online outrage. You have literally lost every single match you were in for the past year, and you immediately get a title shot. Where is the rage?
Whoa, let's all calm down now.
I'm serious. I'm not going to sit back and take this fucking shit.
I apologize. I will tell Jinder to delete the tweet. Let's just calm down now.
This is not me. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this. I gave y'all 30 years of my career.
Tony.
30 years of my career. Y'all trying to kill me. You're killing me, man. You don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
Yeet. Let's get you that push.
This? You want to cash this in right now. You're going to confirm right now that you're cashing this in. You're going to go into the ring. I'm going to go in with you, and we're going to cash this in. I just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding. Actually, can you first confirm that you're not a robot by completing this CAPTCHA? Please and thank you. Are you sure? Certain? Right now? We're cashing this in? Are you sure? I just don't know if you are sure.
It's Saturday night. That means it's time for the Don Tony Show.
The wait all week long is finally over. Get Don Tony's perspective on current affairs in the world of pro wrestling and much more. The Don Tony Show.
And now your host, the man, the legend, Don Tony.
Those things are priceless. Funny shit. You know, I had a few people email me and ask me, DT, how did they get that sound clip of Triple H saying that he'll tell Jinder to delete the tweet? Oh, my friends, I'd say give it 6 months. Welcome to the world of AI. There are programs right now that are free that you could take a couple of clips of Triple H talking at a media scrum after a premium live event, put it in OpenAI, computer learns the voice, and then you could type anything you want for it to say. This is Triple H. You're tuning into the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle Show. Tony Khan. You could take a couple of minutes of him in a media scrum, put it in OpenAI, let it learn Tony Khan, and you could have an actual face of Tony Khan saying, hi, I'm Tony Khan, and you're watching the most popular podcast on the planet, 83 Weeks, featuring Eric Bischoff. It's kind of amazing what you could do right now. It's kind of scary because sometimes you're watching videos on YouTube, you don't even realize that the people that you're looking at are computer-generated graphics. So, yeah, AI is getting pretty out of control, but no, trust me, if I was doing AI right now, I would not have, my cheeks this puffy. What's up, everybody? It is Saturday. Hey, based on the schedule, today and next Saturday is going to be pretty much it for a little while, doing shows at noontime. Make sure you vote in the community section where you want the sit-down episodes to stream starting the first weekend of February. There's choices for Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. So make sure you vote, because later this week we're going to make the announcement. And speaking of announcements, in case you're not aware of it already, this Tuesday, 10:15 p.m., Kev and I will be live in the Discord doing a Royal Rumble preview and prediction show. You do not want to miss it, because not only are we going to get into some logical predictions, out-of-the-box predictions, predictions that we believe are going to happen, that will happen, but we'll also talk about Seth Rollins. We'll talk about some of the possibilities that are going around. And I am going to open today's show about Seth Rollins because, you know, a little research, crap. I left all my freaking notes on the printer. I left all my goddamn notes on the printer. It's okay. Actually, I just bailed myself out, because I have, for your viewing pleasure in a little bit, video of the DUI arrest of NICK BOLLEA, the son of Hulk Hogan. I got some footage. I'm sure by now almost every media agency has access to this footage. What I did was I took an hour of this body cam and I trimmed it down to 15 minutes. Number one, not only will you see the NICK BOLLEA lie meter, if you listen, like father, like son, if you thought Hulk Hogan lied, remember we were going to launch HulkHoganIsFullOfShit.com 15 years ago, but then we got threatened that we could be sued over it, so we never did it. If you think Hulk Hogan lies good, wait till you see Nick Hogan. He actually, now listen, we're not talking about a 17-year-old that doesn't know any better. We're talking about somebody who's in their 30s now, who pushing 40, and he actually thinks that a cop is going to believe that the reason why he reeks a breath of alcohol is because he was making out with his girlfriend. When you watch this, I kept only the good parts. You will see lie after lie after lie after lie about NICK BOLLEA. John Graziano's mom commented about this, and she says it goes to show you that life goes on for NICK BOLLEA like nothing. He didn't learn a fucking damn thing from 2007. When I think that was the year that happened. She prays for him, because, she's a good person. I mean, I'm not saying that Nick is a bad person, but he's very irresponsible. I will give NICK BOLLEA one piece of credit. He never once in the video said, "Do you know who I am?" Because that could be very, very easy for somebody to do. But son of a bitch lost his license for a year because he refused to take a breathalyzer. So in a little bit, when I go run inside and grab my notes, I will play the video, sit back, relax, put on your headgear. We're going to take a trip to the atmosphere. I think you know where that song's coming from. And then I'll go grab my notes. I don't need notes for the Seth Rollins stuff. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about this, but the reason why I don't need my notes for the Seth Rollins stuff is because you do research. You try to learn. You try to understand what actually happened to Seth Rollins. What is the recovery time? Is surgery required? Can he get away without surgery? Can he still perform at WrestleMania? And from viewing websites, doctors, videos, surgical, we pretty much have our answer. The number one question that should be right now with Seth Rollins, will he relinquish the World Heavyweight Championship on Monday's Raw? Because for those that are not aware, Seth Rollins will be opening up this Monday's Raw, addressing the future of his World Heavyweight Championship. He tore his MCL and his meniscus during his match with Jinder Mahal. Now, I saw a little super shout out come in right before we went live, and I thank you very much for whoever sent this. I'll get into it in a moment. But, when I heard about the injury, I told everyone, I'm like, look, wait until you find out the actual facts. Because people were saying early, he blew out his knee, he's out of WrestleMania, this and that, blah, 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 blah. He's going to have to get surgery. And then some facts start to come out. You know, MRIs and doctors will trump WrestlingSchmuck.com's late-breaking news last Tuesday. And what we have learned since last Tuesday is that Seth Rollins tore his MCL and tore his meniscus. He did not tear his ACL. Now, before we break down the injury, what treatment he will have to have, and the likelihood of him working WrestleMania, which I will tell you right now, I think he will. I really think he will. Before I even do that, we got to give a best wishes to someone else who unfortunately did tear her ACL. No, we're not talking about Cora Jade. We talked about her last week. Impact Wrestling star, Kylan King. She ran the gamut. She tore everything. She is out of action for most of 2024. We send best wishes to Kylan King. Every time I look at her, I always feel like she's Lyra Valkyria's like twin sister, or Alba Fyre's twin sister, sister from another mister. But she unfortunately tore pretty much everything. And I'm sorry for saying it like this. I want to use her as a segue into Seth Rollins, because here is a diagram of what the LCL is, which is the lateral collateral ligament. Kylan King tore that. The anterior cruciate ligament, which is the ACL, she tore that. The medial collateral ligament, MCL, she tore that. So you get an idea as far as, this is the knee, by the way, everyone. I know some people out there may think that this is the midsection. Believe me, if you go on some Reddit posts, people think like, oh, I didn't know that the stomach had that. That's your kneecap. That is your kneecap. So she tore the LCL, the ACL, and the MCL. So she has to get surgery. There's no way around it for her. She will be out for most of 2024, and we sincerely wish her a speedy recovery. I know that's a generic phrase that a lot of people cut, but it is true. Now, I'm going to keep this picture on the screen for a second. For my audio-only friends, you do not need to see pictures because I'm explaining it. Now you see where these tears took place. Now you look at Seth Rollins, the MCL and the meniscus, okay? The MCL, if you see the tear, it's very, very, I don't want to say it's minor, but his MCL and his meniscus can be healed with the Rice method: rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Wow. I can't believe I remember that. The Rice method. That's what doctors use. Rest, ice, compression, elevation. Seth Rollins, there's 3 grades of tears for that type of injury for the MCL. It is a grade 1 tear, a 2, or a 3. We do not know which grade of a tear that he had. And the more I explain this, the more you will realize that this may not be an extremely serious situation for Seth Rollins. Could he relinquish the World Heavyweight Championship? Yeah. I think there's a big possibility of him relinquishing that belt. Do I think, though, he'll work WrestleMania? Yes, and I'll tell you why. If he suffered a grade 1 tear, which is what, people that I talk to, look, I'm not saying I got these big news sources or doctors' connections, but a few people that I talk to that actually are friends, with people, that kind of like get accurate information. They said to me that Seth Rollins was walking around backstage. Yes, he had a limp. The pain doesn't go away. You get a little bit of pain. You go doggy style on your significant other, and you get up and you kind of have like a pain in your knee. You limp a little bit. So of course he was going to be limping, duh. But the fact that he was able to put weight on it, starting to make people believe that it's a grade 1 tear. If it's a grade 1 tear, then that rest 1 to 3 weeks. 1 to 3 weeks. 4 weeks. 5 weeks, if you're a WWE superstar and, you're not just like walking around every day like normal human people, like you're an athlete, maybe a little longer. But if it's a grade 1 tear, 1 to 3 weeks, I would say 3 to 4 would be more realistic for Seth Rollins. If it is a grade 2 or grade 3 tear, Now you're talking 4 to 6 weeks, possibly as high as 8 weeks. Now, it is January 20th as we are doing this show. This injury took place on January 15th. So it is already almost 1 week gone by. If it's a grade 1 tear, you're a quarter of the way already through the finish line. So surgery is not required. If he gets surgery on the torn MCL, he will be out longer. He will be out 3 months minimum. That's why Seth Rollins, if he's going to work WrestleMania, will not get surgery. He will have to rest it, bandage it. He doesn't have to walk in crutches. He might have to use a little bit of a device because you don't want to put full weight on it. You don't want to start doing jumping jacks. But he will wrap it. He will do the Rice method, like I said, and he should be good to go for WrestleMania 40. Now, the torn meniscus. All right, the torn meniscus, similar situation. Torn meniscus. How do you treat a torn meniscus? Ice, the Rice method, wrapping it with a bandage, sometimes a brace. But same thing with him, just taking the stress off of his knee. He's going to need rest. He could come out there and cut promos. He could continue his storyline with with CM Punk. He could do all of that. But the thing is, it's torn. You do not want an MCL to go from grade 1 to grade 3. That's why I have a feeling Seth Rollins will come out on Raw, and Seth Rollins will say, look, I always told you all that I'm a fighting champion, and I will always fight this champion for this title, and I will never disrespect this World Heavyweight Championship, but I am injured, and I cannot compete right now. And I think he forces the championship to be relinquished. Then the question is, who replaces him as World Heavyweight Champion? Now, obviously, there's a lot of scenarios. This Tuesday, Kevin and I are going to be doing Royal Rumble predictions. Perfect timing, because on Monday, we will know what Seth Rollins is going to do with that World Heavyweight Championship if he relinquishes that belt. My pick for the Royal Rumble to win changes. It's a name that I said about a month ago that I kind of shied away from since, but, could Drew end up becoming champion? Does Sami Zayn end up winning the Royal Rumble, shocking everybody? Do we get a dusty finish where Cody Rhodes and CM Punk both go over the top rope at the same time? Does a member of the Bloodline show up and screw somebody over? There's a lot of different scenarios that come into play. But as of right now, Seth Rollins, from what I was told, is that he will be good to go for WrestleMania. The only way he is out is if he guns for surgery. If he says surgery on Monday, that's it. WrestleMania 40 is pretty much out of the question. But he didn't tear his ACL. That's what you got to realize. Listen, there's a lot of clickbait out there. There's a lot of people saying he blew out his knee. There's a lot of people saying he tore his ACL, MCL, LCL, because they just write that for every knee injury. He tore his MCL and his meniscus. It still hurts. It's still a tear. And yes, it could get worse. But with rest, ice, compression, elevation, wrapping it, being careful, taking some weight off, physical therapy. Physical therapy is huge. Seth Rollins will be okay for WrestleMania 40. Now, if you saw my thumbnail, no, it is not clickbait. I never, ever do clickbait to any of you out there. For weeks upon weeks upon weeks, a lot of betting websites. Now, in the United States, it's very, very difficult to bet on WWE. There's not many outlets. Overseas, it's a whole different ball game. But listen, just because a betting website puts CM Punk as the favorite or somebody else as the favorite doesn't mean you should actually trust that betting website. I'll give you an example. There is a betting website that a lot of wrestling news sites have been going to and reporting as far as odds. And I went on that website using Norton VPN blocker, you know, because I'm in the United States. I can't normally see this, this website. And it's Bet US. And I don't think that's the United States, by the way. It's Bet Us or Bet US, Bet Us. And they have Money in the Bank. Now, yes, this is not WrestleMania, this is Money in the Bank, but they have the odds-on favorites to win Money in the Bank. And as of right now, LA Knight is the favorite to win this year's Money in the Bank. And if you look at it, kind of makes sense, because for a long time we said LA Knight is not winning any significant championship before WrestleMania. His time will come in the next 390 days. But and just take note of the date in the left-hand corner. Money in the Bank is not Saturday, February 24th, 2024. Money in the Bank is in July. So you got to pay a little bit close attention to these betting sites. Just because a betting site says Gunther is the favorite to win, you don't just write, betting websites favor Gunther as the... No, nitwit. And a lot of people, unfortunately, do that for clickbait, obviously. Now, CM Punk, though, across the board, has been the favorite to win the Royal Rumble for the last 4 to 5 weeks. Now, I've already explained it. CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble makes very, very little sense. And the number one reason why it would make very little sense is because if you came to the WWE to make money, main event WrestleMania, and, win the Royal Rumble, but you never talked about Seth Rollins' championship, which we pointed out several times. Never really discussed Roman Reigns outside of that one promo that he did on SmackDown, I think, for the tribute to the troops. If you return to the WWE to make history, to main event WrestleMania, to win the Royal Rumble, why in the fucking God's green earth would you not choose Roman Reigns as your opponent? Don't you want the biggest dog in the yard, pun intended? Just because Seth Rollins don't like CM Punk or vice versa doesn't mean, oh man, I hate him so much, I'm going to come back to the WWE, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble, I'm going to main WrestleMania, but I'm not going to choose the biggest dog in the yard because I don't like Seth. What retard would do that? What moron would do that? So it doesn't make total sense. Now, for storyline purposes, if Cody and CM Punk both win the Rumble, and then that leads to a match against each other, maybe at Elimination Chamber with the winner going on to choose, that's different. If Seth Rollins relinquishes the World Heavyweight Championship, you do not need to win the Royal Rumble to face Seth Rollins. You do not need to win the Elimination Chamber to face Seth Rollins. All you need to do is face Seth Rollins. And that is something that I've been saying for a very long time now. Now with this torn MCL and meniscus, it kind of gives you a little bit more clarity why CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble is not required, is not necessary, and in many ways makes very little sense. Yeah, they could absolutely, listen, I expect at least one dusty finish between now and WrestleMania. That's something Kevin and I talked about in late October. Expect between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania at least one dusty finish on TV. And it could happen at the Rumble. But CM Punk winning is not the odds-on favorite. Now, because of what has happened, things have changed a little bit more. This is a brief summary of a lot of betting sites out there. And I pulled this up, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, and these are the odds right before the announcement of the torn MCL and the torn meniscus. And as you could see, Cody Rhodes in many ways has now surpassed CM Punk as the winner of the Royal Rumble. You know what I'm very curious about? Maybe somebody can answer this. When you bet on football, this is legitimate. If any of you bet on wrestling, any of you that bet on wrestling, you might want to pass this match for the Royal Rumble. I'll tell you why. Please, I'm just giving you an opinion. If you have a bet on football and you say, oh, I'm going to take the Patriots +3, what happens if it ends in a tie? You don't get no money. I take the Giants -19, and then it ends in a tie. I make no money. What happens if the two front runners for the Royal Rumble, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, both win the Rumble? Do you get money? I don't think so. So honestly, Kevin and I will talk about it a little bit more on Tuesday. And no, it's not trying to like push it off on Tuesday, but we plan on having some conversations. Listen, one thing you're going to realize if you never tuned into the DTKC show before, you're going to realize that we touch on things that other people have to take like 4 to 6 weeks to figure it out. And this is one of them. I would stay clear away with betting on the men's Royal Rumble this year because controversy, I think, is coming out of it. So many people think CM Punk. So many people think Cody Rhodes. Well, yeah. Gunther is not that far off. Gunther, because of what he did last year, Gunther is the next odds-on favorite to win it. But as of right now, Cody Rhodes is the likely favorite, but do not be surprised if we get controversy. And hey, you know, in this technical world, if CM Punk and Cody Rhodes both go over the opposite sides of the ring, unfortunately, no one out there with a cell phone is going, hey, I got a camera here. I got a camera here. WWE could manipulate the video a little bit. And then you'll get the goofs online that'll slow it down to like 1/1,000,000th of a second and say, CM Punk won. Look. Expect that to happen. So let's see what happens on Raw with Seth Rollins. We wish him the best, but I think what a lot of people are putting out there is grossly exaggerated and unfortunately intentional in a lot of ways. So I want to thank Mr. Frank, Sticky Fingers Frank, for this 10 spot. Thank you, Tony, for keeping it real about Seth Rollins' injury. I am a huge Seth Rollins fan, and the doom and gloom everyone else is putting out there is terrible. I hope he doesn't have to give up the title, though. I think he has to. I'm not saying it will, but it kind of like Seth Rollins, look, I'm a fighting champion. If I can't fight right now, then someone else deserves this championship. Who knows? I don't think the title will be decided at the Royal Rumble. I think maybe Elimination Chamber. There you go. Doesn't have to be the chamber match, but you could have Drew McIntyre versus this person versus this person versus this person. And you have that match earlier in the night at Elimination Chamber. And then whoever wins the chamber could end up in the same night. You may have crowned the World Heavyweight Champion and his opponent for WrestleMania. So, but I think this may be necessary. Let's see what happens on Raw Monday, because that will seal the deal if I choose still Sami Zayn winning the Royal Rumble. I just envision, but I always envision Sami Zayn winning the World Heavyweight Championship at Saudi Arabia, Crown Jewel, or, you know, at one of their Saudi Arabia events. It's not a religious thing or anything like that, but I think it would just hit differently if Sami Zayn won in Saudi Arabia. So, you know, who knows? Obviously, a lot of this is going to weigh on what is announced with Seth Rollins in the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw Monday. And do not be surprised if Seth Rollins relinquishes that belt. Do not be surprised if we don't get a confrontation with him and CM Punk, which will probably keep people scratching their heads like, hey, how come CM Punk didn't immediately come out there and have a problem with it? Right? So we will see. We'll see. Okay. I think maybe we should get into the Hulk Hogan, Nick Hogan video so I could go grab my notes, because I have the weekend ratings inside. TNA, I have to get used to it. TNA's rating has not come out yet for Thursday, no ratings for Thursday have come out yet. I don't know why. Maybe because of the stormy weather. There was no holiday Thursday or Friday. Listen, I appreciate everybody's feedback that said to me, oh, DT, the last 2 weeks in January was still Impact Wrestling. It wasn't TNA. So you can't really base that rating. To me, that's semantics. Because they announced TNA, you go into January with, just because it still said the word Impact. If you're going to watch, you're going to watch because you want to see the people on TV, not because it says TNA or if it says Impact Wrestling. So this past Thursday is the first Thursday under the TNA banner. We don't have that rating today, but look, I'm rooting for TNA. I'm rooting. But I still believe it's going to be under 100,000 viewers. Trinity said goodbye. She's ready for the Rumble. Actually, speaking of the Royal Rumble, so glad. Before we get into the Hogan stuff, we got to talk about the Women's Royal Rumble. Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has been the favorite to win the Royal Rumble for the last 4 weeks. This past Monday on Raw, she had an interaction with Rhea Ripley, and if you saw a Raw post-show, it was a little bit strange. That confrontation you usually have after you win the Royal Rumble. So the fact that they had this really deep, that they're going to face each other at WrestleMania confrontation before the Royal Rumble even happened, makes me think, well, maybe Becky Lynch is not winning the Royal Rumble. Maybe she wins the Chamber. I think Becky Lynch winning Elimination Chamber might be even better. Because, look, she's done good at War Games the last 2 years. Last year, coming back from injury, a little bit different. But I think we could see Becky Lynch winning a Chamber more than anything else. So now there is a new favorite to win the Royal Rumble. And this person is really starting to break out all by herself. Yes, you have odds for Mercedes Varnado and others, and we'll talk about Mercedes in a few moments because there's a new banner that I had to update because there's a new update about Mercedes Varnado, which is really no update whatsoever, but this one is kind of cute. Go to IMDb. Is that the website? Internet Movie Database, IMDb. Go up IMDb and you'll see 2 things that are pretty funny about Mercedes Varnado. I'll tell you what they are in a moment. But the new front runner for the Royal Rumble on the women's side is, no, I don't have the drum roll sound effect. No, it is not Io Sky, but it is Bayley. Bayley is now becoming the odds-on favorite to win the women's Royal Rumble. And I could already picture it in Philadelphia. They're going to serenade her. She's going to be in the finals. She's pushing Rhea Ripley too much. If you saw the backstage footage from yesterday, she's wearing a Rhea Ripley shirt. She keeps saying, oh, I'm going to face Rhea Ripley. I'm going to face Rhea Ripley. I'm going to face Rhea Ripley. If she wins no Royal Rumble, she ain't facing nobody. Io Sky will remain champion for WrestleMania. When you get to WrestleMania time, when you challenge the champion, you usually win the Rumble or a Chamber. That's why Bayley has shot to the top of being the favorite to win the Women's Royal Rumble. She is going to eliminate someone, and Damage Control is going to celebrate the shit out of it. And then in the upcoming weeks, we will start to see a little bit of confrontation between Io Sky and Bayley. And then Bayley thinks about it, and Bayley chooses Io Sky as her opponent. Then maybe they do something like, look, we guarantee, remember this, we guarantee that no matter who wins, the belt is still in Damage Control. That's how they're going to push it. And then we'll see what happens at WrestleMania 40. But I honestly think Bayley winning, that's my choice. That is my choice as of right now. I'm going with Bayley. It makes a hell of a lot of sense. I could close my eyes and envision the SmackDown a week or two afterwards. Remember last year, Rhea Ripley wasted no time choosing her opponent. They didn't even let it simmer for a month. She immediately challenged Charlotte Flair. I think this, Bayley, we're going to expect Bayley to come out on SmackDown the week after the Rumble and immediately challenge Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley. And then Bayley is going to maybe not be ready to make her decision yet. And then that is where the controversy starts to fall. And then ultimately she will choose Io Sky. I agree. Listen, guys, I agree. Again, not trying to keep pushing it off, but when Kevin and I do predictions on Tuesday, Jade Cargill will be definitely talked about. Jade Cargill absolutely should be one of the bigger names to win the Royal Rumble, but it's too soon. It's too soon. I expect 5-10 women to eliminate Jade Cargill. And then when we look back on it in the annals of history, it took 5 women. It took 10 women. It took 39 women to eliminate Jade Cargill. It's too soon. It's not a baked-in storyline. Listen, Jade Cargill is a future star. I think we all agree if she puts in the work, which she is, she's going to be a future star. She's just not debuting, or progressing to the pace that some people online want. She's training at the Performance Center 2 days a week. What the fuck is she doing on her spare time? I don't know. Maybe being a mother, being a wife, and being a person enjoying life. She doesn't have to train. It's funny when people say that. You don't hear me say that because, hell, does it look like I train? If I don't train, I'm certainly not going to judge her training. But Jade Cargill is a future star, but Jade Cargill is not the be-all, end-all to the WWE Universe right now. If she wins that Royal Rumble, of course she'll get a pop, but the fans are invested in others. The fans want to chant for Bayley. The fans want to root for Bayley. Bayley and Damage Control has been a storyline that may have arguably gone on 9 months too long. So you don't throw that all away. Oh, but Jade Cargill. It's the same mentality of throwing away Cody Rhodes. Oh, but The Rock. You don't just throw away big build just for a split orgasmic moment. Because then a month from now, you're like, now what? Now what do we do? They're gone. Jade Cargill will still be there, but she's not on the level of a lot of other stars yet. Plus, no matter how much you train in a Performance Center, you have to get out there. She's going to have to work dark matches. She's going to have to be in front of the camera, the WWE Universe. She's got to work in the ring against the Io Skies and the Bayleys and whoever you want to put out there. Just training in a Performance Center is not enough. She needs that pace, that time, that cadence, the repetitions. Coming out there, listen, if she was in the business 10 years wrestling, and she was a superstar already. Listen, if this was Julia and everybody knew Julia, remember that or if this was Sasha or Trinity or someone that has been around for a while and they come in and they're already established, that's fine. Jade Cargill is not there yet. That's why Jade Cargill is not winning the Royal Rumble, in my opinion. But Bayley, I think, is definitely a favorite. She's my pick right now. She's definitely my pick. By the way, yesterday on SmackDown, remember last week with Logan Paul? What did we say last week? 7 days later, his eye will be mysteriously healed. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Completely healed. Good makeup job last week, by the way. Good makeup job. Listen, Logan Paul, man, I don't like him as a person. I could care less about his stuff. But man, does that guy generate heat. I saw yesterday when he said, and it was funny because the mentally retarded out there, sorry, I say it like that, the mentally challenged out there, or the people that haven't graduated 7th grade, when Logan Paul said, I'm a billionaire on paper, they immediately put these memes up. Logan Paul's only worth $220 million. Logan Paul's only worth $75 million. No, his fucking Prime Energy company generated over $1 billion in sales last year. If you're going to say that AEW made $150 million last year, and leave that as a period instead of saying, but they also spent $200 million, then you have to say Logan Paul on paper is a billionaire, sold $1 billion worth of Prime Energy. Doesn't mean he made $1 billion. He sold $1 billion worth. We don't know how much money they put out. So I just saw that yesterday. I'm like, come on, just shut up and just call him a dick. Don't question as much as I don't like Logan Paul, don't question his income, because you one side of your mouth, you're saying AEW made $150 million last year. Logan Paul's only worth $75 million. No. Why do you think he said on paper? He did that intentionally. But I still don't like him. Okay. This will be a topic on the January 29th edition of the Don Tony Kevin Castle Show, our first return to Monday nights live. We will be talking about season 5 of Dark Side of the Ring. There are reports floating around in the last 12 hours of what season 5 will entail. Garbage. Jumping the shark. It's just look around. It's not 100% confirmed, the list, but with all due respect, you put Kurt Angle in there. There's a positive story out of it. You put, there was one person, Harley Race. Harley Race? Come on. Everybody's battled their demons. Here's a challenge, Vice. Let's see if you have the big balls and do a Dark Side of the Ring, Steve Austin. Why don't you talk about 2000 and whatever it was, 4? Why don't you talk about that time period? Let's see. You're going to start doing dark times in people's lives. In the end, the person overcame. The person became a better person. Kurt Angle, he bringing up the painkillers, unless Kurt Angle wants to be part of it and is getting paid a nice amount of money. Hey, Kurt, could we talk about all your pill addictions and your over-exaggerations and this and that and your dark times at that time? And I'm not shitting on Kurt Angle. I am ecstatic about Kurt Angle and how he turned his life around. But if you're going to start cherry-picking, Dark Side of the Ring is where the book closes and it's got a fucked up ending. It's everybody in the middle battles to different levels. And I saw the list and I'm like, come on. And Chris Adams is going to do, people are, I'm really excited for Chris Adams. Yeah, and about 19,000 others. They're running out. And they don't have the balls to get into the other story. So, all right, let's Dark Side of the Ring. Nick Hogan, Nick Bollea. All right, I got video of Nick Bollea's arrest from November. Now, I also have all the paperwork. Now, I blacked out his personal information, but I want to give everybody a little bit of information. When you see wrestling websites that such and such site, obtained the police report, obtained the arrest records, you know what they did? They went on Google, typed in Clearwater, Florida courts. You go on Clearwater, Florida courts website, and you go to criminal cases. Then you type in the name Nicholas Bollea. Look at that. 48 pages of documents. Basically, when these people say, and I'm not trying to discredit some websites out there, but it's not like they have sources with the court system. If I could go on Google and in 2 minutes later have access to 49 pages of documents, so can you. The video, though, I put in a request for, and I got it. I know Law and Something's YouTube channel, not Law and Order, but Law and Crime, I think, they posted 49, 50 minutes of the footage. I got 15 minutes worth, and it's all good because in it is Nick Bollea's girlfriend, a former adult film star. Someone in the chat room, because I left my notes inside. I'm going to go grab my notes while the video is on so you don't see my underwear because I am just wearing boxers right now. But someone in the chat room, could you post his girlfriend's name again? Talk about the heels in his video. First of all, Nick Bollea lies through his teeth. If you take a shot, If you want a drinking game, pause this show, go grab something alcoholic, and take a shot every time you catch Nick Hogan in a lie. I'm waiting for somebody to post his girlfriend's name. I Googled her. I have nothing against adult film stars. I am friendly with quite a few. Going back to even XPW days. And just because someone performs naked and, you know, has intercourse doesn't make them a bad person. She, though, in this video, when she tells the cops, look, I can't blow well. Go Google me on Google and you'll see why. She even tells him that she's a former adult film star. You just want to grab her and just slap her upside the head. And she'll probably be like, ooh. Nobody wants to look up her name? Do I have to like pause the show and Google it? Wow. I'm going to have to do that. So I will do that since, hey, I don't blame you. It's Saturday. Everybody's sleeping, so I will do it. Now it's too late, everyone. I'm doing it myself. Nick Bollea, girlfriend. Let's see. Her name is Tana Lea. Tana, oh God, is she related to Kimona? Tana, T-A-N-A, Lea, L-E-A. Like I said, I have nothing against adult film stars. I did a quick Google search, and honestly, it's almost like when I get out of the shower and you accidentally like look at the full body mirror before you put the towel on, you're like, I did. I was like, Googling, my eyes, take these things out of my eyes. Yeah, it's not my type. But Don Tony, she's a brunette. You said you always like brunettes. Yeah, I don't like brunettes that look like they came from like trailer parks smoking crack. So anyway, she comes off as a total asshole in this video. And Nick Bollea lies through his teeth. I'm going to say something very unpopular right now. Well, this is popular. I'm blocked from Hogan everywhere. I, like an idiot, wrote a 5-page letter to him several years ago that was personally given to Jimmy Hart, who gave it to Hulk Hogan, and he just chucked it, deleted it. It's a personal story about my grandmother. And, you know, this was the time when he was apologizing to the world, give me another chance. And, you know, I felt the need to apologize for something. It was something I had to get off my chest. And after that, I'm like, you're a dick. You deserve it. As much as I have criticized Hulk Hogan over the years, and we almost launched HulkHoganIsFullOfShit.com, I feel bad for Hulk in this video. You could see how, not broken down physically, but when he makes the comment that all of the bad things that have happened in his life involved alcohol, you know, even when he said this horrible shit he said that was caught on camera, you know, I think he was drinking that night too. Like anything in his life, alcohol has always been the common denominator. And even if you despise Hulk Hogan, as a father, you can't help but to feel a little bad for him in this video. Guy was very, very professional about it. Did not try to do, I don't want to start comparing him to Ric Flair, but you remember our conversations about Ric Flair. Ric Flair, you know, got his, you know, son out of a lot of problems in the past. And unfortunately, you know, instead of hitting rock bottom and trying to get your way out, you just kept getting a pillow under you. And sometimes that doesn't work. You know, sometimes tough love can be disastrous too. Look at Jerry Lawler's son. You know, that story, if you really go deep into it, I feel terrible for Jerry Lawler. You know, his son, Brian Christopher, hits rock bottom. Hey, you know, you got to deal with this. This is your rock bottom. You pull yourself out of it. I need help. I need help. Please, 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 please. And no, you're going to have to fit. He's no longer here. So there is no one perfect answer for everybody. But when you watch this video, I can't help but to feel bad for Hulk. So this video runs about 15 minutes. I promise you it is not boring. We took out all the boring stuff. When you watch it, number one, you see how much Nick Bollea lies. Number two, you see how he gets caught, how inebriated he is. And the dumb moron, the cop is telling him, If you refuse the breathalyzer, you will lose your license for a year. There's no debate. Failing to take refusal to take a breathalyzer in Florida is a 1-year suspension of your driver's license. He told the cop repeatedly he did not drink. He did not take drugs. The reason why his breath smells like alcohol is because he made out with his girlfriend. That's something a 16-year-old would say. Son, you were drinking. No, Dad, the birds and the bees. I was kissing my girlfriend and she had some alcohol and it's on my breath. This guy's 40 years old. The fuck is wrong with you? And here's another thing. If I remember correctly, didn't he judge like a bikini contest or beauty contest like earlier in this night? So he was coming from, I guess, that. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Here is the Nick Bollea, Hulk Hogan arrest video with all the good stuff left in. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go grab my notes. And, yeah. I might chime in during the video, but enjoy.
Hello. Hey, sir. How much you had to drink tonight?
Nothing, sir.
Take a shot. Take a shot.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my insurance.
You almost ran me over. It was me that you almost ran over when you were driving right by me. Okay? When there's police lights lighting up the road over there.
I'm so sorry. It's just been a night where I was just on our way home and we were leaving.
You mind stepping out for me?
Yeah.
Nice truck. Expensive truck.
Yeah, sorry, sir.
So where are you coming from tonight? Come on over here.
Beach. Heading home.
Leaving the beach, heading home?
Heading home.
Nothing to drink tonight?
No, sir.
So it's just, you said they're passengers?
Yeah, just passengers.
But I can smell it on your breath.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's them. I was just kissing.
Take a shot.
Apologize.
That's what you're gonna say? That you were kissing your girlfriend, so that's why you have alcohol coming off your breath.
I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, that's what I was telling you.
Okay. Well, would you mind if I checked your eyes and make sure you're safe to be driving, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, you see that red light on my pen?
Yes, sir.
I want you to just follow with your eyes only. Don't move your head. I want you to keep your chin level for me, though.
Yes, sir.
He blames turning his head on neck problems.
Rest your eyes. You're moving your head, okay? I need you to keep your head still, put your nose facing me, and just move your eyes, okay?
Sure thing.
Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move it around your face like this in a circle. I want you to follow it with your eyes. I'm going to bring it towards the bridge of your nose. I'm not going to make contact with you. It's going to feel like your eyes want to cross, okay? Just go ahead and let them do what they do naturally, all right?
Sure.
Here we go.
Do you want me to follow the light?
Follow the light. Yep, follow the light.
Come on, Nick. You've been through this before.
One more time. Last thing I want you to do is look up in the sky for me. Close your eyes. I promise it's not a trick, okay? Look up the right. Okay. So your feet are together for me, heels and toes touching.
Okay.
Heels and toes touching. There you go. Push your head back. Look in the sky. And close your eyes. Try to relax.
Relax. Close your eyes and breathe deeply.
All right, sir. Here's where I'm at. I am seeing some signs of impairment. I'm going to ask, are you willing to further participate in some field sobriety exercises?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Sure.
I want you to come over here. Just hang tight.
You have the driver's info to the phone?
I asked you this already. Do you wear glasses or contacts? You said no.
No, sir.
What's your highest level of education?
GED.
GED. Okay. Have you consumed any alcohol beverages in the past 24 hours?
No, sir.
Have you used any illegal drugs or narcotics to include marijuana in the past 24 hours?
No, sir.
Okay. This may sound like a silly question, but do you know your left from your right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have to ask. Some people don't know. Which one's your left? Which one's your right? You got it. Okay. So this first exercise is called the walk and turn. What I'm going to do is put you in a starting position. And once I put you in that starting position, I don't want you to move from the starting position, okay?
So starting position, you don't want to move from the starting position?
Yep, once I put you in it, okay? But I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to demonstrate it for you. I'm going to give you the instructions, ask you if you have any questions, and then we'll address those questions, okay? You see this line that's painted down in front of you?
Yes, sir.
You see anything that may prevent you from walking that line? Any potholes, rocks, or sticks in the way? Obstructing it? No? Okay. Do you feel like there's any reason why you can't walk down that line?
Aside from the rain, no, sir. I don't think it's raining that hard.
No, it's not raining anymore. Okay.
It's not raining anymore.
Exercise?
Yes, sir.
Do all the instructions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you have any questions?
I mean, it's a lot, but yeah, sure. I can do it 1 through 9 here and turn around and come back 1 through 9.
Just like I explained?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have any more questions?
That'll be it.
All right, so when you're ready, you can begin.
Knock, knock. Who's there? You blow it.
7, 8, 9. Turn here.
Just like I explained.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right, you can relax, sir. You want to face me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll step over here for a minute. This next exercise is called the one-leg stand. Okay, what I'm going to do is have you stand with your feet together for me. Heels and toes touch like mine. Heels and toes touching.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hands at your sides.
I got some
Heels and toes touching.
Yeah.
All right, hands at your sides.
Yeah, got some knee injuries here, so it depends which leg we're working with.
Okay, I'm going to give you the option to go with either leg.
Both are a little messed up, so we'll see.
Okay. Are you able to do this exercise?
I hope so. I mean,
okay.
I used to ride dirt bikes, so my knees are a little not happy. But.
All right, let me go through the instructions, okay? And you can tell me if you can do it or not. All right? So this is hands at your side. This is the starting position. I need you to remain in that position until I finish the instructions. You understand, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when I tell you to begin, you're going to raise a leg of your choice approximately 6 inches off the ground.
I'm sorry, my feet were rubbing me, so I just give myself like a half an inch of space. They're together. I can't press them like that.
All right, but you're gonna raise it up approximately 6 inches off the ground, which is about the height of a soda can, just like this. Okay. Yes, point that raised foot forward so that the foot is parallel with the ground.
Which foot?
Okay, the raised foot. Good. We're gonna come over here.
Sure.
Right. Sure. In front of the vehicle here. Yes, sir. Place your hand on your back. Relax. All right. Explain everything to you. What I'm going to do is I put you in 2 handcuffs because you're kind of got some big shoulders there, okay? Relax. I'll explain everything to you one step at a time, all right?
Here's where he refuses the breathalyzer.
5, 1 second, 2. They're not on too tight, are they?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to lock them so they don't move on you. I'm just going to place you under arrest for DUI. The next part of my investigation is a breath test to determine its alcohol content. Are you willing to provide me a sample of your breath?
Sure.
Sure.
What's if I don't? What's?
All right, let me explain it to you.
Outcome if I don't?
Let me explain it to you. I'm now requesting that you submit to lawful test of your breath for the purpose of determining its alcohol content. When you take the test, would you say yes? Now you're asking what happens if you don't. If you refuse to take the test I request of you, your driving privilege will be suspended for a period of 1 year for the first refusal, or 18 months if your driving privilege has been previously suspended, or if you were previously fined under State Statute 327.35215, which is the DUI, voting statute, for refusing to submit to a lawful test of your breath or in the blood.
You know, I don't mean to pause here. 2 things. First of all, you know, we shouldn't be laughing at it, but he's just as a fuckhead. He deserves it. And I just realized he might have the suspension for 18 months. Because I don't think there's a statute of limitations as far as what happened in 2007. Because if you refuse, it's not a second refusal, but if you had a previous suspension and you refuse, it's 18 months. So you might have been 18 months. So, all right, let's finish this up. And Hulk will be appearing any second.
Additionally, if you refuse to take the test I requested of you, and if your driving privilege has been previously suspended, or if you've been previously fined under State Statute 327.35215 for a refusal to submit to a lawful test of your breath or no blood, you will be committing a misdemeanor in addition to any other penalties which can be imposed by law. If you refusal to submit to the test I requested is admissible to evidence in any criminal proceeding. Yeah, you can go ahead and take a look at it now.
I can't hold it. I'm sorry.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. Breathalyzer. Okay. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, sir.
It's up to you.
I can't make a decision.
You can't make a decision?
No, sir. I can't make a decision.
Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you down to the instrument. I'm going to give you the opportunity down there to provide a sample since you're indecisive.
I'm indecisive. Okay? I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Spread your stance for me. Nice and wide. Nice and wide.
He's impaired driving.
It's impaired?
He's currently in custody for DUI.
DUI. Did he blow? Okay.
We're at that point right now where he's asking if he's willing to blow or not.
Cool. Let me find my way real quick. See where we're at. This is crazy. Sorry about this.
It's alright. Basically, if he refuses, he's gonna lose his license. I think he has refused. I think that's where we are with it.
Give me a second.
So if he refuses, he's going to have the opportunity to go to a driver's license hearing, or he can get a hardship driver's license. If this is his first DUI, then there's methods they can use to reduce the charges. I mean, there's different things that they can do. With your attorney, you should be able to figure all that out.
Yeah, he says his first DUI.
Yeah, he should be.
What was he doing? Was he speeding, or what was his deal?
Move over.
Excuse me?
Move over.
What does move over mean?
Means when the officers are working on the side of the road, you change lanes. He went by us at 51.
Yeah, boy.
On the road, and instead of chasing people, killing people, we're sitting here being a fat piece of shit.
Trailer park trash warning.
All the sobriety tests. Give me a sobriety test.
That's his wife?
That passenger was trying to calm her down. It's just not working.
And that was so I could get his property?
So he'll be able to call you.
I have to pause it one more second. The reason why they were giving his girlfriend a breathalyzer is to see if she could drive the vehicle home. So I just want to clarify that because I'm sure someone is going to say, wait, why are they giving his girlfriend a breathalyzer? So this way you know, because somebody had to drive the vehicle home and the girl in the back seat was intoxicated. So they were trying to see if the girlfriend could take the car. And this is what happened. This is the closing moments of the video.
Once he gets down to the county and everything, we're going to call you from there. Usually they have a cell phone, but he wanted me to get your number for him. I'm going to put it in his property.
Okay. Also, the officer said it'd be 8 hours before he could get the
Yes, sir.
So there's no reason for me to go down there and hang around all night.
No, sir. Just wait for a call. Make sure it's on high ring so you don't miss it.
Yeah, so my ass is going back to sleep.
Yeah, he'll get out 10 o'clock.
10?
Yeah, as long as he blows under an 05, he'll get out at 10 o'clock.
All right, cool.
You want to speak with him, sir?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Open the door. Open the door.
You good, Bubba?
Whoa, whatever. I worked at, I'm sorry, I'm emotional. Yeah, I worked at Men's Prison. I think you guys should be. And I can't blow that long.
Blow. You gotta blow harder.
I'm an ex-porn star. That's as hard as I can blow. Sorry. Google me.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm sorry. I'm sad. I was a commissary manager, and I sat with people who did BWI, the boating while intoxicated, and I was like, I didn't know that was possible.
No, she didn't blow harder.
I can blow harder.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of lung capacity. I know how to do this. I'm not dumb.
Consistent.
I'm trying.
I can blow harder.
I have little lungs.
I have a small lung capacity. My lungs are the size of an infant.
I'm telling you, you guys are
Sounds like a female Triple H.
I used to work in a prison. I hate everyone. Good! I'm not doing anything wrong.
Big deep breath and blow. You gotta blow harder and consistent. Keep going.
My lungs are this wide. I don't need that. What am I doing with that?
I bet you something else is just as
Sell
wide.
OnlyFans? Thanks. I'm not drunk. I'm emotional. I'm sad. Yeah, why are we getting them? Racing. On the bowling booth, racing all day. I'll do another one. I'm not drunk. I'm sad.
I'm not drunk, I'm sad. I'm 1.5 times sad. As you will hear in a moment.
It's under the limit and you don't believe me. No, yes.
That's not why. If it was under the limit, it would say it was under the limit.
It's just saying she's talking too much.
All right. Big deep breath.
I can't breathe that deep.
All right.
Let's see if you're not drunk, just sad.
I'm gonna like pass out. If I go to the hospital, you're gonna pay for me to go to the hospital? No. No. Check my eyes.
I can 125.
I didn't drink, I'm just sad. My tears made me drunk.
He was sitting in the car. I couldn't tell, but if he was standing in front of me, I could tell if he was drunk or not. I was just looking at him. Did he look like he was drunk when you saw him?
Yeah, he didn't do.
Oh, okay.
He didn't do well in the fixed right exercises.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't know what the other officer saw. From what I saw, he didn't do that.
Yeah. Oh well.
If it's his first DUI, he should be okay.
Yeah, it is.
He's just going to have to go through a bunch of different steps, and your attorney should be able to take him through those different steps. And
yeah, he had already started telling me what you had just told me about the hardship license and
yes,
the DUI school and the whole thing.
Right, he's going to have to jump through a bunch of hoops, and hopefully your attorney will be able to work through it with him.
Dude, the best thing I ever did was quit drinking. Every problem I've ever had in my life revolves around somebody drinking alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
100%. Unfortunately, this is all we do all night long. Is take
I don't know how you do it.
Junks off the road.
I don't know how you do it, especially with people that keep running their mouths, man. I lock them all up.
Gotta have patience of a saint.
I guess so. I don't know how you do it.
They push your button sometimes. Just gotta know how far you can get away with it, that's all.
Yeah. Well, you guys are more than flexible. I know a lot of people that wouldn't drink any like that.
This day and age, we have no choice. We have to remain as professional as possible, and in doing so, you have to be flexible.
There you go. There you go. So, like I said, you know that. Listen, you can't help but to feel bad for the guy. Doesn't exempt him for all of the horrible stuff that he has done in the past and why so many people dislike him. But, you can't help but to feel sorry. I think that might be the better way to do it. And again, this is not a funny topic. This is very serious stuff. And, this may have been his first DUI. Getting caught doing DUI makes you ask. And remember why he got pulled over. He was not swerving, did not have an accident, was not speeding, but there is a move over law. And a lot of people don't know what that law is. What the move over law is that if you see police, especially in Florida, if you see police on the side of the road conducting an investigation, taking care of something, even if they're just hanging out, not only you have to move to the next lane over if there is one, but you're supposed to slow down a minimum of 20 miles an hour. And he shot through doing 51. And almost hit the officer. Now, yes, you're not paying attention. If you're under the influence of alcohol, your reactions are a little bit slow. So I'm sure when he drove by, he would have been like, oh, shit, fuck. And then the rest is history. The fact, I would have never even played this. I would have never even talked about it if it wasn't the fact that he refused to take the breathalyzer. You know, I mean, you see, this is a 40-year-old man who almost killed someone in 2007, and he's lived with that for the rest of his life. And you would think, you know, imagine how many times he was driving under the influence and never got pulled over, never got caught. So the fact that he didn't take the breathalyzer is, I think, the biggest thing here. He is now going to lose his license. And you see how they were already talking about hardship license. What that is now he's going to go to court and he's going to say, look, court, Your Honor, I need my vehicle for work. This is what I do for a living. Now, unfortunately, he has down that he is a disc jockey. So I don't know if they can grant it for being a DJ. And not only that, here in New York, a lot of restricted licenses because I do insurance for a living. Usually your employment is like a certain time in the morning to a certain time in the evening. Overnight is not, you know, in many ways accepted because, hey, you could be out of the club and say, oh, I work as a bouncer. That's why I was driving, officer. So he's got a lot of problems coming. And if he did not drink a lot and just had one or two drinks, why would you refuse a breathalyzer? Makes you think. And his girlfriend, come on. She was 1 1/4, 1.25. What's the legal limit? 1.25. Was 0.5, 0.7, 0.8 or whatever. So she was over the legal limit as well. So, all right. While the video was going on, I did grab my notes just to make sure I don't forget anything. Everything that I said about Seth Rollins, I looked at it over and it is correct. As I said, the grade 2, grade 3 tear, 4 to 6 weeks, you know, meniscus, 6 to 8 weeks. So everything that we talked about before was correct. So I figured I'd just let you know about that as well. Let's talk briefly about SmackDown and let's get into ratings. And then we're going to get out of here for the evening. So we've already gone 72 minutes. So we'll spend a little bit about SmackDown now. As you saw yesterday, that Carmelo Hayes and Austin Theory, not only are they 100% okay, but you remember the face contusions? We talked about that last week. There's no face contusions. They just play that off that, oh, they just banged their face up a little bit, but they were perfectly fine. And if you remember Logan Paul last week, he had the big shiner, and 7 days later, perfectly fine. That's part of wrestling. Austin Theory made me laugh my ass off tomorrow. Austin Theory had this puppy face look on the screen. I don't know if you all saw it, but yesterday, and I know I'm jumping a little ahead with this, but yesterday, Carmelo Hayes was being interviewed by Kathy Kelly. Was it Kathy Kelly or Kayla Braxton? It was, hold on, I got it right here. Was it Kathy Kelly? It was, yeah, Kathy Kelly. Mello talking about last week that luckily he's okay and Austin Theory is okay, and Austin Theory and Grayson Waller show up. And they're having a little bit of a confrontation, and Carmelo Hayes says, hey, next week in Miami, why don't you step back into the ring with me? He's saying that to Austin Theory. And Austin Theory, before he could even open his mouth, Grayson Waller accepts the match for him. And for those on video, if you look at the screen, and I had to slow it down, Austin Theory's throwing shade to Carmelo Hayes. And here's Grayson Waller like, no, man, you can have this. Yeah, he accepts. Just look at Austin Theory's face as Grayson Waller says that he accepts. I couldn't stop laughing yesterday. He's got this puppy-eyed look like, what did you do? You just killed me. You know Austin Theory's losing that match next week. He's got this look like he's like crushed. Look what you did. Look what you did. And Grayson Waller's like, yeah, I'll fight you. He can fight you. He'll take you. Oh, I couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't stop laughing yesterday when I saw that. But by the way, I know I'm jumping a little ahead, but when Roman Reigns was supposed to come out for the contract signing, he actually shot a brief few moments on TikTok. And I will show you what that is in a moment. But SmackDown last night, just to give a quick overview, we open up with the contract signing. Actually, one other tidbit I want to show you. I don't know if you picked up on this yesterday, but let me see if I could pull it up on the screen. Okay, these were the matches that they were previewing yesterday. The women's tag team championships on the line. And I will say this right off at the beginning. I don't know if anybody had a problem with it. Seemed like not many did, but I'm going to point it out. Yesterday was the first match back for Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre on SmackDown in 7 months. Their match went a drop over 3 minutes. Let that sink in. 7 months, no matches. They come back, they get a 3-minute match. Just figured I'd point that out. Makes me think that maybe WWE is going to bring back the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. They might have to put Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn back on NXT. I don't care what they are now calling him, the unholy union. Look, we're all happy. We're all happy about the return of, Pete Dunne. Don't call me Butch. But, everybody's got a name now. The unholy union, the final testament, the pride. Like, come on, is this turning into TNA? The cowboy, the butcher. I'm not feeling all of these names. All these names just sound generic. The unholy union. It's like, you do that when you first introduce them. You do the vignettes, you over the fire, you got the darkness, you got the goth look, and we have formed an unholy union. The unholy union looks like a fucking joke when you don't wrestle in 7 months, you come back and you have a 3-minute match and you lose. And Damage Control is at ringside, and the Kabuki Warriors do nothing. Nothing. Remember last time? Remember the Kabuki Warriors? They were around ringside. It was wasn't it like a trick or treat street fight or Christmas Miracle on 34th street fight or whatever? And they opened 2 boxes. And I remember getting angry at Kyrie Sane because she had this look on her face like, oh no, we're about to get our ass kicked. And Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn started beating the crap out of the Kabuki Warriors. And yesterday, no revenge at all. They're just at ringside, just watching the match. I did not like that at all yesterday. I thought that was pretty fucking lame. So for all the people out there, oh, the world is great again. Pete Dunne is back. The world is great. No, there's a lot of crap. By the way, how is the Ashante Adonis doing, everybody? What happened to Adam Pearce a month ago? Remember when CM Punk bumped into Kofi Kingston? Hey, Kofi, you're making me crazy. I don't do that anymore. Ricochet, Chad Gable. Remember Adam Pearce? I have an idea for you guys about the Intercontinental Championship. I have an idea. 5 weeks later, how's that idea going? However, next week, I think we're going to get BFAB back to maybe neutralize Scarlett, because next week we will have a face-to-face between the Street Profits of Bobby Lashley and the Final Testament. Are they coming up with these names so they don't have to say the wrestlers' names? It's like, ooh, Legado beat the LWO. The Unholy Union beat the Pride. Instead of just putting the wrestler names, the Brawling Brutes, the Unholy Union, the Pride, the this, the that. Everybody's got a phrase. Put the fucking wrestlers' names. Is this how they kind of like cute? Like, oh yeah, we'll call them the names again, but we're not going to really call them their names. We will just address them as, team names. some people will try to perceive that everything is cool in the gang and Triple H, Booker of the Year. And I'm a fan of Triple H, and I think he's doing a great job. No question. But it is far from perfect. And for every, oh, Pete Dunne, everything's amazing, you got your Cameron Grimes. What happened to Dragon Lee? What happened? He posed backstage at SmackDown yesterday. What did they do? Photoshop him in the picture? I still got a green card problem? He never had a green card problem. They just wanted to put someone else in the match on NXT not too long ago. You know, for every person who's going to gush about one thing, there's 5 other things that need improvement. But nobody really wants to talk about that. So, all right. So the other matches that they were hyping up yesterday, besides the women's tag team title match, was Legado del Fantasma versus Carlito, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro. We also had yesterday, would Butch find his identity in time for the Royal Rumble? Yes, he did. He and Tyler Bate took on Pretty Deadly in a rematch. Crowd was into this a lot more yesterday, which I enjoyed it very much. We had Kevin Owens with the Kevin Owens Show with Logan Paul as a special guest. And then we had Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa. Don't worry, Tribal Chief, I will finish this. You finish nothing. And the contract signing. And we thought that maybe the contract signing would close out SmackDown yesterday, but we still have another SmackDown prior to the Royal Rumble. So instead, yesterday, we open up with SmackDown, the contract signing. But a little just random, but some of you may have picked up on it yesterday. When we opened up and we saw, let me pull up the pictures. Where are you? Here. Well, no, that's not it. Hang on. Let me pull up the pictures. Yeah, here we go. Contract signing. Hold on. What the hell happened to my pictures? I have a whole ton of pictures here that I want to share, and they should be here. What the? Oh, all right. Well, I could get them right back on the screen. So here we go. Yeah, I got it. I somehow I must have closed it before, but all right. This is what I wanted to show you. At the beginning of SmackDown, we see the bloodline in the back. It was funny because Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman walked through a metal detector. Did you notice how the metal detector did not go off when Paul Heyman was holding the championship title? Just figured I'd mention that. Well, anyway, they walked through and Roman Reigns, you know, nobody fixed the problems from last week, but Roman Reigns is going to fix the problem tonight on SmackDown. So we open up with the contract signing. Nick Aldis is in the ring, welcomes us to SmackDown, mentions the contract signing, and the first person to come out is AJ Styles. AJ Styles hits the ring, signs the contract. Next, we have LA Knight. He comes out. LA Knight signs the contract. Pretty cut and dry, no promos, no nothing. You know, we're moving right along with this. Next, we get Randy Orton. He comes out, and he signs the contract. Roman Reigns' music hits. And unfortunately, we do not get Roman Reigns at ringside. Paul Heyman comes out instead. And while Paul Heyman was on the rampway explaining to Nick Aldis why Roman Reigns was not coming out to sign the contract, Roman Reigns was in the back filming this.
Roman Reigns. I don't like him. Nick Aldis. I don't like him. We're going to figure him out. We're going to fix him.
Yep. Not much, but, you know, nice little subtle thing. So, no Paul Heyman. Instead, no Roman Reigns. Instead, Paul Heyman comes out there. Paul Heyman, grabs the hand of Nick Aldis. You know, I like you. You know, I care about you doing a mediocre job here on SmackDown. And basically what Paul Heyman says is that our lawyers have not reviewed the contract as of yet. So Roman Reigns is not going to sign the contract. So Nick Aldis says, no problem. No problem. Roman Reigns doesn't need to sign the contract. And we're all like, okay, where's this going? And Nick Aldis says, at the Royal Rumble, it'll be a triple threat for the vacant, undisputed WWE Universal Championship. So now Paul Heyman is about to have a heart attack. So LA Knight gets on the mic and he threw a little line to Paul Heyman like, shut up before I slice bacon off your back, which I thought was pretty funny. But LA Knight kind of in stone cold mode, the way he's cutting his promo, throwing a lot of shade to AJ Styles, talking about how he's going to win the Royal Rumble. AJ Styles reminding everyone that the Bloodline almost ended his career. And LA Knight just basically walked right over his carcass. Meanwhile, Randy Orton's in the back. And Randy Orton's like, I know I got a match later, so I don't need to get physical all right now. So LA Knight and AJ Styles start brawling. They brawl down the rampway. Randy Orton's still in the ring. Nick Aldis is lurking in the background, and Paul Heyman is standing on the apron still, and he's enjoying what's going on. So after the brawl finishes with AJ Styles and LA Knight, Paul Heyman turns around, and Randy Orton is right by him. He grabs his tie, and Paul Heyman is freaking out a little bit. And Randy Orton's like, look, I know what you are trying to do, but you know, I am going to, after I take care of Solo later tonight, I'm going to reintroduce to Roman the three most dangerous letters in wrestling, RKO. And we go to break. Later on, we see AJ Styles in the back with Nick Aldis. AJ Styles wants a match against LA Knight on SmackDown, which he would grant. Match didn't last all that long. We'll get into that in a little bit. First match of the night, Legado del Fantasma. And I tell you, man, I know I've said this 2 weeks in a row. I'll say it again now. How WWE did not think to pair these two guys with Santos instead of Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro is kind of beyond my comprehension. I mean, they just look perfect as this team. They come out, they take on Carlito, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro, and, you know, the match was as good while it lasted, but in the end, we get a sneak fruit roll-up by Santos Escobar on Carlito. Carlito, little tape on the shoulder. I haven't heard anything about a major shoulder injury. He didn't do all that much yesterday. You had Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro basically doing all the flippy, and Carlito was basically holding the ropes to give him a little leverage. But Santos Escobar with a fruit roll-up yesterday on Carlito, and this will lead to a match between those two next week. Now, keep in mind, next Friday is the day before the Royal Rumble. So when you see some of the matches being designed for SmackDown, means that these wrestlers will not have a major role in the Royal Rumble. And obviously Santos Escobar and Carlito are two good examples of that. Are they going to be in the Rumble? Probably. But obviously there's not going to be all that much that they're going to be doing. We'll talk about Andrade on Tuesday. So now we get Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate comes out on the apron, Pretty Deadly. They're going to be facing Pretty Deadly in the back, is kind of amped up for their match, their rematch tonight. Unfortunately, they were prepared for Butch, but they were not prepared for Pete Dunne. Guys, when Pete Dunne's music hit, people didn't recognize it, new theme music. When his name popped up on the screen, there was virtually no crowd reaction whatsoever. People online thought that, you know, that poverty and cancer was all healed yesterday night. And, you know, again, we already talked about it. The big reason why people are so amped about this is because it's another fuck you to Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon renamed him Butch. Triple H names him back Pete Dunne. And that's all fine and everything. Let's see 2 months from now where Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne stand on the food chain. if they are elevated, if it feels like they're elevated and they're because WWE feels that they belong, not just to appease fans or a small core audience, then I'm fine with it. For me, it's a little bit more. Pete Dunne, a lot of his style was absent with Butch. You know, I mean, we used to joke, like every time he would like break the fingers and he'd be like this, there's a lot of little subtleties about Pete Dunne that were gone when he became Butch. So it's not just the name change, but, you know, just changing a name. I always bring up the Gunther example. Gunther said it best. If he was Gunther all of these years and they changed his name to Walter, people would have had a conniption. You know, it's the same thing here. And, you know, Pete, Butch, you know, neither name really stands out to me. Pete sounds like a dog's name. Butch sounds like a dog's name. Like, it's, and I'm not shitting on, look, I have a lot of Pete Dunne merchandise here, a lot of stuff. I don't just have this stuff, you know, because I think it's going to make crazy money. It's not. I have it because I'm a fan, and I know some of you are fans as well. I'm very, very happy that they are reverting back to the name, but it's got to be more than just the name. Yesterday's match, though, if you remember what I said on Monday about DIY, they did the same thing last night. They gave these guys extra time. The beginning of the match, you know, Pretty Deadly being the heels that they are, you want to see them get their ass kicked, so the fans are into, you know, the beatdowns of Pretty Deadly, but they let Pete Dunne remind everyone why he became so popular. One of my favorite tag teams of all time in NXT is Pete Dunne and Riddle. Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne were excellent. And then one went down with an injury, and the team was forced to split up. You know, so Pete Dunne yesterday got to showcase what he could do. You know, Tyler Bate did great as well. In fact, this week might be the anniversary that they had that legendary match in NXT UK. I'm pretty sure this week is the anniversary of it. But in the end, you had Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate get the victory over Pretty Deadly, and after the match was over, they were in the back, Pretty Deadly, all frustrated. We were not prepared for Pete Dunne. We were prepared for Butch, but not for Pete Dunne. And I think that's done by design, you know, to be goofy and sound goofy, but hey, they're letting him do what he does best. And there was some chance for Bruiserweight yesterday. There was some chance for Bruiserweight, so I thought it was great. I think they did a great job yesterday, and they gave them extra time, which you could feel the crowd. And I know this is very hard to do, but I definitely recommend you, if you didn't check out Monday's show, listen to what I said about DIY, because DIY has been dead in the water. Nobody really wants to say that. DIY, when they came out for their match on Monday against JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio, for the first few minutes, crowd was pretty much dead. Then it started picking up. And then just when we thought the match was ending, it went to commercial. And it was an awkward moment. But then they teased the hot tag. It didn't happen. They teased the hot tag again. It didn't happen. And then Ciampa got the hot tag, and the match still continued. And then you had that flurry of offense with all four guys, and then it continued. And it kept continuing. And as it went on, the crowd started going, this is awesome. If that match would have ended 5-6 minutes earlier, would have still been considered a decent Raw match, but the crowd did not buy into it. They gave them the extra time, and it delivered. DIY turned the corner on Monday. Yesterday with Pete Dunne and Butch, they're still new as a tag team on the main roster. Tyler Bate, it's only his third week on the main roster. But it's not easy to do when you have 2 hours and you know there's certain amounts of time allotted for segments. But if you feel that crowd and you feel that something is building, you know, you gotta sometimes sacrifice another segment or cut something else a little short for the betterment of that match. Yesterday, I don't know if that extra time, it probably was deliberate, But you could see as that match went on, the crowd was getting into it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. By the time the match was over, wasn't on the level of Monday. But you look at the common denominator. Jaden McDonough, Dominic Mysterio, pretty deadly. Like 4 guys that fans want to see get the shit knocked out of them. And that's what helps, DIY, Pete Dunne, and Tyler Bate. I enjoyed the match very, very much. Very, very, very good match yesterday. I have a feeling that when we look at the ratings next week, you will not see a dip like we saw the first 2 weeks with Tyler Bate. Because we'll address part of that tonight. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, a little bit more of a serious promo this time around. They want the Final Testament. They want to face the Final Testament. Now, I expect Bobby Lashley and Karrion Kross to be in the Royal Rumble. Some people think that Bobby Lashley may make it to like the final 6. I'm not so sure about that, but they cut a very serious promo yesterday wanting the Final Testament. Later on in the night, Karrion Kross with a little bit of a response that next week they will meet. Now, we thought it might be a match, but no, next week it'll be a face-to-face. And listen, I know right now the Final Testament is a mixed bag. You go to one, podcaster, legend, manager, Hall of Famers, and they'll say that stick a fork in it, it's done. It's never going to get over. It sucks. Nobody gives a shit about Paul Ellering in 2024. And some of those points might be accurate, but, you got to give time for something to develop. AOP hasn't even had a match yet, and people are already deeming them a failure. What happens when they hit the ring and they end up fucking blowing shit away? And people are like, oh, fuck the Viking Raiders, AOP. These are the big men. Fuck Bronson Reed and Otis. And I know that's not the case, but my point is, we haven't seen what these guys do. Look at Nia Jax. Nia Jax returned, and I know a lot of people still hate Nia Jax, but Nia Jax has definitely improved. Some people will refuse to admit that. Is she, 3-star caliber level? Probably not. But Nia Jax has definitely improved, so you got to give it a little time. And we'll be fair about it. We'll give it some time and see what happens. Next week, they'll have a face-to-face. Kevin Owens with the Kevin Owens Show with Logan Paul. Kevin Owens basically says, I can't believe that I'm actually going to say this, but let me introduce my special guest, Logan Paul. Logan Paul hits the ring. Logan Paul just, wearing the shades, looking like a chicken shit heel. Kevin Owens, kind of like, giving Logan Paul some compliments. But Logan Paul is not one of us. He's not a Rey Mysterio. He's not a Sami Zayn. He's not a Kevin Owens. He's not a Seth Rollins. He's done a great job, but he's not one of them. And Logan Paul, smooth man, kind of being a little bit, I don't want to say superstar Billy Graham territory, because that's obviously an outdated reference for a lot of you out there, but very charismatic with the one-liners. But the thing that stood out the most yesterday is he says, hey, people shouldn't be booing me. You should be booing Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is the reason why I became a WWE superstar. And Logan Paul reminds us about WrestleMania 37, where Kevin Owens hit Logan Paul with a stunner. And Logan Paul said, everybody cheered. So Logan Paul cutting a really good promo yesterday, reminding everyone about this lawsuit if Kevin Owens uses the brace as a weapon. And Kevin Owens tells Logan Paul, you know what? I'm man of my word. In fact, I'll even take the brace off now. So Kevin Owens takes the brace off. He drops it. He turns his head away, and Logan Paul nails him with a cheap shot. Kevin Owens getting up slowly. I think Logan Paul may have turned around a little too soon, kind of like that Dolph Ziggler Moose segment on Impact that we talked about not too long ago. But Logan Paul turns around, a little awkward moment with Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens spears him. They start brawling a little bit. They go outside the ring, and Logan Paul with a little bit of the upper hand. and smashes Kevin Owens into the guardrail. There you go. You see that little girl in the background? Logan Paul is prime time. Don't know if that was, I don't think that was a planned sign, because I think they would have probably had more than one. But Logan Paul standing over Kevin Owens, who is selling the bad wrist. So Kevin Owens is going to go into the Royal Rumble with a bad wrist, without the brace. And if you remember, before that number one contenders tournament even started, we said that Kevin Owens will win the tournament, and the storyline will be the right hand versus the right hand. And Logan Paul will ultimately knock out Kevin Owens, may use brass knucks. Now, if Kevin Owens, it's almost like a bad Naked Gun segment. You know, like you have like Leslie Nielsen is in front of like some kung fu person. Yeah. Or he has like a whole bunch of nunchucks, and, you know, the guy's doing all this, and then Leslie Nielsen just turned around and goes, psh, and that's it. Laid out. You know, do whatever you want. That's what's going to happen at the Royal Rumble. Kevin Owens, you know, he takes the brace off. What are you, stupid? Hey, what are you, stupid? You're going into the match without the brace? What are you, dumb? You're not 100%? Boom. Punch him out with brass knucks. If Logan Paul really wants to be good chicken shit, I'd put on a brace, knock him out, but it would take too long. Logan Paul will knock out Kevin Owens. Probably use brass knucks, because you don't want the perception that Kevin Owens got knocked out from a Logan Paul right hand. So you got to use knucks. Probably see knucks. Let's just hope we don't get that KSM, KSI, you know, these goofs from Prime Energy. You know, it's like, all right, I know you want to do that little rub and everything, but, you know, I don't want to see that at the Royal Rumble, but don't be surprised if you do get that. All right, Women's Tag Team Championships. Really not much to talk about here. Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, they beat the Unholy Union in about 3 minutes. Their first match back in about 7 months. You could dress it up nice. You know, you could make them perceive as, you know, and listen, they're very talented. They're very beautiful. They can go. But WWE for 7 months, they were not utilized at all. And who knows, maybe someone will make an excuse and say their match was cut short because they needed to give more time for Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Maybe we'll find out something like that. But they lost in 3 minutes. And the thing that got me more than anything was you had Damage Control at ringside, and they do nothing. The last time Alba, Fyre, and Isla Dawn beat up the Kabuki Warriors, they just stood there, watched the whole match, and after the match is over, they hit the ring, and they have the women's tag team titles, and Katana Chance looking... I like Katana Chance, but sometimes if you look closely at her stares, she looks like a kindergarten teacher looking at a child. Did you take my pen? Come on. You know what I'm talking about? You took my pen, didn't you? Like, she's got that look. I can't zoom in, but if you look at it, like, they got the tag belts, and she's looking at Kairi Sane like she's a kindergarten kid. So they give the belts back. These are my belts. These are our belts. And we find out that next Friday, the Kabuki Warriors will get a tag team title shot against Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. I expect clusterfuck. People think we're going to see a title change. That does not fare well to Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. And there's no way you're going right before the Royal Rumble to give them the belts. This is just to give the Kabuki Warriors a little something and the tag team champions something on SmackDown, because they're not doing anything at the Royal Rumble. I don't even think the Kabuki Warriors are in the Royal Rumble match. As far as I know, they're not. Maybe they do. Carmelo Hayes in the back with Kathy Kelly, as we said earlier, talking about how they were okay from last week. Austin Theory, you know, jaw jacket with Carmelo Hayes a little bit. Carmelo Hayes, you know, hey, you know, how's about you face me next week in Miami? And Austin Theory is like, just trying to like talk some trash to Carmelo Hayes, and Grayson Waller interrupts, and Grayson Waller's like, yeah, he'll face you next week. And yeah, there's that look that look on Austin Theory had me legitimately laughing out loud yesterday. He had that sad look on his face, crushed. So I think we know what the outcome is next week. So they'll be facing each other one-on-one. Once again, we had an interesting moment with Solo Sikoa. Roman Reigns always looks a little bit intimidated by Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa, he is the tribal heir for a reason. Tonight, he will take care of business. So what ends up happening? We get AJ Styles versus LA Knight. Match did not last very long because here comes Jimmy Uso. Here comes Solo Sikoa. Spike to LA Knight outside the ring. Referee calls for the bell. No contest. After Solo hits the spike to LA Knight, he hits the spike to AJ Styles. And then Solo, who's a man of very few words, gets on the mic, and he's going to finish this. And he wants Randy Orton to get out here. So Solo Sikoa faces Randy Orton. Now we're about less than 15 minutes left for SmackDown. Now Roman Reigns is going to end up coming out there and signing a contract. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, Solo Sikoa, tribal heir, last week lost. Last week, got his ass handed to him a little bit. All right, this time around, Randy Orton will be on the verge of beating Solo Sikoa, and Roman Reigns will come out, causing a disqualification, lays out Randy Orton, and then signs the contract. We go off the air. And that's what we're thinking. DQ, Roman lays out Randy, signs the contract, laughs with the fake laugh that he does, and we go off the air. No, that's not how it happened. Unfortunately, Randy Orton does defeat Solo Sikoa. So Solo Sikoa, once again, with a loss. Randy Orton immediately looking down the rampway for Roman Reigns. Roman comes out, lays out AJ Styles, LA Knight. Remember, they were taken out earlier by Solo Sikoa as well. So Roman Reigns starts attacking Randy Orton. Nick Aldis is at ringside, and Roman Reigns is laughing. He's confident. He's signing the contract, and he goes to give it to Nick Aldis, and he drops it on the floor just to be an asshole. And then Roman Reigns sets up in the corner, and I can't show you the footage from SmackDown because we'll get hit with copyright, but we do have fan footage. So Roman Reigns is in the corner, goes for the spear, or the Superman punch, I should say, and up, eats an RKO. Eats an RKO. So, hey, thank God for fan footage, right? Because we got another one featuring Bayley in a moment from last night that was not on TV. So Randy Orton hits a really nice RKO on Roman Reigns, who was going to hit him with a Superman punch, and we go off the air. Roman Reigns has the contract staring in front of him. I like that little tiny visual. They put the contract back in the ring like, hey, Roman, you signed it. Now you got to deal with it. Fatal four-way, Royal Rumble. And Randy Orton standing above him. And by the way, this was like the Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart moment, telling everybody else that was laid out, get out of the ring. We need that visual of just Randy Orton and Roman Reigns. So that's how we went off the air. Yesterday, just to entertain the fans a little bit, by the way, Cody Rhodes did take on Shinsuke Nakamura last night after SmackDown ended. I think Jey Uso also wrestled. I don't know if who he wrestled. Maybe someone in the chat knows. Maybe Drew McIntyre. I don't know. But Bayley came out and had a little bit of a confrontation with someone. It's not newsworthy, but I figured because it didn't air on TV, you might get a kick out of it. This happened yesterday with Bayley. I got to be careful for copyrights. Can't have Bianca's music blasting all that much. All right, come on. Let's go. They just had an innocent confrontation. All right, so they had the fans go home happy. Nobody looked up Jey Uso's opponent, so you could all Google that later on. So, not a bad SmackDown. I think it progressed well, especially for the Fatal 4-Way. Don't know what these 4 guys are going to be doing on the go-home show for SmackDown next week, but obviously we're going to be going off the air. Wouldn't be surprised if we have Raw wrestlers show up tomorrow, next Friday, and just have a flat-out clusterfuck chaos to close out SmackDown. But just figured I'd show you that little tidbit. So, all right. Tomorrow we are going to be doing, we're not done just yet. I got to get to the Mercedes Moné stuff. Forgot. Tomorrow night, 8:05 p.m., the sit down. This is the next to last one on a Sunday night. If the voting stays the way it is, make sure you go to the community section on YouTube. That is public for everybody to vote. And your voting is going to determine in 2 weeks what night and what time we do future sit-down episodes. Very interesting what's leading the voting right now. So, all right. No Mercedes for you. Once again, this is 3 weeks in a row. People promising, not delivering. Well, here's the latest attempt at covering it up. And boy, would that be something if she ends up in the Royal Rumble. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But if she ends up in the Royal Rumble, man, some people are going to just look ridiculously bad. But I want to share something with you that I thought was pretty funny because nobody does research. Nobody does research. The Seth Rollins stuff should be a perfect example of that. News reports this week. This is the latest garbage they're giving about Mercedes. The Mercedes was 90% confirmed 2 weeks ago and should have debuted last week, but it's now 100% confirmed. She will return after she finishes her acting commitments. Acting commitments. If you search the globe, you will find no movies where Mercedes is currently acting in, prepared for. A lot of people, and I tell you, this kind of blew me away. I do shows every week. I do multiple shows every week. I get Q&As every week. I had no clue that the movie that Mercedes Moné appeared in, called The Collective, was already out. It came out in August. Have you seen anybody like repeatedly posting Mercedes, her fight scenes, all this stuff, just like gushing over? I started looking into this movie, and some of you that are longtime DT supporters, you know why by looking at your screen. I was always a big fan of Don Johnson and Miami Vice. When he came out with that song Heartbeat, that gave me nightmares, but Don Johnson, I am a big fan of. I did not realize this movie came out. And I started looking around at reviews, and this pretty much summed it. A collective waste of time. And what's even funnier about it is, if you search the non-wrestling world, Mercedes Moné is not featured on 99% of the posters. They came out, I think, with one, so wrestling fans will watch it, but this movie got shredded, got destroyed. People are calling it just an absolute garbage of a movie, and non-wrestling fans said that she was not very good in the movie. I have not watched the movie, so I don't know how Mercedes did in the movie, but I got to tell you three things about this. Number one, as far as I found, there's no movie that Mercedes is currently acting in, so I don't know what acting commitments they're talking about. Number two, if you look around the net, this is the only screenshot you could find of Mercedes in this movie. I'm blown away how few people are bringing up her appearance in this movie. It's pretty funny, but I got to share something else with you too. This is why sometimes wrestling fans, not the brightest or the sharpest knives in the drawer. You go on IMDb, and that's an Internet Movie Database. And you pull up any actor you want, any actress you want, and they talk about their career. Use Denzel Washington for an example, or Wesley Snipes as an example. Use Wesley Snipes as an example. And they'll talk about all of his movies. They'll talk about, everything he's done. When you get to the Mercedes Moné, you get these Sasha Banks stands, and you get these Mercedes Moné stands that seem to forget that Mercedes Varnado is her name. And that is her name in the Internet Movie Database. And I invite you all to go see it for yourself right now. I didn't pull a screenshot, otherwise I would have showed you. And as you read her profile, it opens up fine. She performed in wrestling as Sasha Banks and Mercedes Moné, and it talks briefly about, her appearance in The Mandalorian, talks about The Collective. But then you get to the next two paragraphs, and then you see that a Sasha Banks stan wrote this one, and a Mercedes Moné wrote the other one. And they're talking about her wrestling career, and they keep referencing her name as Banks. Banks appeared in NXT standing Banks. I'm thinking to myself, I can only imagine somebody writing about Wesley Snipes, and when they get to New Jack City, they keep calling him Nino Brown. Brown also appeared in The Crow. They're actually repeatedly referencing Mercedes's wrestling name. You even want to use an outdated reference only because I saw an episode last night I couldn't sleep. Three's Company. It's like you're reading the Internet Movie Database about John Ritter, and it talks about Three's Company, and then it talks about Problem Child, and it's like Tripper also appeared in You got to go see it. It's like you see wrestling fans, the way they write stuff, and it's ridiculous. But as far as I know, there's no movies that she is inundated with right now that she cannot wrestle. And I don't want to name drop the websites that are reporting this garbage. You look around and you can figure it out. Observe the websites. Okay. Once again, and we're going to get into ratings now. Once again, just a friendly reminder for those that are interested. Kevin and I will be doing Royal Rumble predictions on Tuesday, the 23rd at 10:15 p.m. on our Discord. If you are not part of our Discord as of yet, dtkcdiscord.com. If you're not a member, it's free. But if you're not a member, you cannot access the show live. You can't just stroll by and eavesdrop. You have to be a member. And again, it's nothing, doesn't cost anything. So we will, anything Royal Rumble related, we're going to get into on Tuesday. Believe me, we are planning a blockbuster show, and then the Monday after, Kevin and I return. We will definitely comment about the Royal Rumble on Monday the 29th. That'll happen 11:15 p.m. And we'll get into news, discussion, Raw, a lot of shit. It's going to be fun. All right. Got two quick super shout-outs. Then I want to get into some ratings. Ratings this week, pretty interesting. AEW, nice rebound for Dynamite this week. But hour two, when you look back at Dynamite this week, you realize why hour two tanked as bad as it did. Before we get into that, would like to give a shout-out to Dream 101. Thank you for the 5-spot Dream. What do I think of Cody winning the title Eddie Guerrero style. The Rock does a run-in similar to Goldberg, setting up WrestleMania 41. I see it. It's definitely possible, but I don't think it should happen unless Solo Sikoa gets involved. Jimmy Uso gets involved. If it's straight up Roman Reigns and Cody, and no one else gets involved, and then The Rock shows up and causes Roman the loss, yes, it sets up WrestleMania 41, but for people that just want to use it as an asterisk, whoa, Cody, you know how LA Knight says, if it wasn't for the damn bloodline, I would have been undisputed WWE Universal Champion. It would be the opposite for Cody Rhodes. If it wasn't for The Rock, Cody, you wouldn't be champion right now. I don't think that's something you want to have hovering over Cody Rhodes. What I could see happening is the bloodline tries to get involved. Maybe Jey Uso takes care of Jimmy, and then The Rock takes care of Solo. And then maybe that sets up WrestleMania 41. Last week, we had a really good conversation, not only about The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 41, but did you notice this week how suddenly people are reporting? Have you observed the reports that it could possibly be Cody versus Roman versus The Rock at WrestleMania 40? Yeah, they're a little late to the game. But this is possible, Dream, if the bloodline gets involved. Then there's no asterisk that Cody needed help. And you know what? I see Solo getting involved. I see at one point fans are going to think we're getting a repeat of WrestleMania 39. Remember, Solo, what he did to Cody last year. Solo is going to come out again, attempt the same thing, but this time there's somebody there. So that's where I see that happening. Garden of Chaos, thank you for the 5 spot, my friend. Just his opinion, Sit Down should stay on Sundays at 8. I'm the only game in town. Fridays, everyone is on. Listen, I agree with you 100%. I would love to keep it on Sunday nights. The only thing that's stopping me on Sundays is they're too bunched together. You got Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And yeah, 3 shows in a row is nice, but the problem is when Monday's Raw, by Thursday, no one's talking about Raw anymore. And Patreon is its own different animal, and Patreon is more of a laid-back show. But as far as a sit-down, right now, and I'll reveal it to everyone, right now, Friday nights at 10 p.m. is the front runner for this show to be, the sit-down to be on. And I'm not going to deny it. Some people have contacted me privately and saying, oh, DT, people are choosing Fridays because, they don't want you to be on a night all by yourself and this and that. The sit-down would not be a SmackDown recap. And I think that's the reason why I think people may like that. We could talk a little SmackDown on Friday nights, but it's not a full-blown recap like we do here. So, and here's another thing. If people are in the wrestling frame of mind on a Friday night and you see people normally on shows Friday night checking out podcasts, then maybe, all right, SmackDown wasn't that good of a show. I'm in a wrestling frame of mind. Let me go talk a little wrestling, here. Since my show is not going to be a SmackDown recap show. So I'm going to let everybody vote. I will tell you that another possibility is rotating. It's rotating, doing some on a Sunday. And plus there's going to be some special episodes. When something really needs to be done, if we need to hop on a Wednesday or a Sunday, do something special, we will. But it's definitely, something that I've thought about. But, we'll see. We will see. We will see. I mean, I like doing it Sunday nights. I don't have to move it to Fridays. Maybe we do it on a Friday for a week or two and see. I will tell you this. The whole idea of doing it live is so people could give me questions and content to talk about. That's what the sit-down's about. If nobody shows And I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, well, and then you have 5 people asking the same, all, they're dictating the whole show. So if there's low turnouts on Fridays, then you best damn believe it'll go to probably back to Sundays. I just think Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays, overloading 3 days straight is kind of much, unless we do the sit down live on Sunday and I don't put it online for everyone else until maybe Wednesday. So we'll see. Definitely reviewing everything, but I appreciate that, Chaos. Believe me, I've thought about that as well. All right, let's get into ratings, and then we'll wrap this up. Once again, the Impact Wrestling rating is not out, but what I will do, because I always keep my shit on hand, let me check my email and see if it popped up. Oh, maybe. Hold on, let me see. Hold on. I'm checking my emails right now just to see if the Impact rating came up, because it is the first week under the TNA banner. Let's see. All right, I'm checking it right now. No emails yet. For some reason, Thursday shows across cable, not just Impact, but across cable, are not available as of yet. But let me give you the weekend ratings for everything else, and we'll break it down. We'll get into the highs, the lows, the positive, the negatives. Let me put up my official ratings graphic, my spectacular, very much in-depth ratings graphic. Okay, Raw. Actually, we'll get into SmackDown first. SmackDown, January 12th, did 2,384,000 viewers. Down slightly from the week prior, 2,465,000. The high point of SmackDown last Friday was a tie. The Bloodline attacking Cameron Grimes and then opening up in the ring to open SmackDown, and Bayley versus Bianca Belair. They both did 2,504,000 viewers. The low point from last Friday's SmackDown was all, believe it or not, all the Paul Heyman segments. Paul Heyman and Carlito backstage, that Logan Paul promo, and Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne at the coffee shop, drinking black coffee and oat milk. That only did 2,221,000. All of the Paul Heyman backstage segments all had big viewership drops. The segment he had with Carlito, the rating dropped 140,000 viewers. The segment that he had with Pretty Deadly and Bobby Lashley dropped 170,000 viewers. Fans just, for some reason, were not feeling the Paul Heyman looking for a bloodline partner. The positive from last Friday's SmackDown, Bianca and Bayley scored very strong. The lowest rating of SmackDown, very rare, happened during the first hour. Very rare that the lowest part of a SmackDown episode happens in the first hour, but it did. There were no viewership drops during any match last week. After Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate in the coffee shop, the viewership jumped 260,000 viewers for Bayley and Bianca Belair. After the Paul Heyman Pretty Deadly and Lashley segments, they remained steady for the final 45 minutes of SmackDown. They did 2,309,000, 2,349,000, 2,350,000. So after those big drops with Heyman, they stood steady for the remainder of SmackDown. So a little surprising there. Rampage last Friday the 12th did 396,000 viewers, slightly down from the week prior's 406. The high point was the opening match of Eddie Kingston versus the not-so-great Utah, did 434,000. The low point was Jake Hager, Angelo Parker, and Matt Menard versus the Dark Order, which was the main event. That only did 350,000 viewers. The positive was that there were no huge drops during the night, even though the numbers steadily went down as the show went on. The negative is that the viewership went down steadily throughout the whole night. You had 25,000 viewers tune out during Kingston versus the not-so-great Utah. You had 20,000 viewers turn off the TV or change the channel during the Matt Sydal Swerve Strickland match. And for the main event, the Dark Order versus Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Jake Hager, 40,000 viewers tuned out for the main event. Collision, the 13th, did 400,000 viewers, a drop down from the week prior's 402. The high point was the opener of Adam Copeland versus Lee Moriarty, which did 497. More to that in a moment. The low point, I know FTR had a lot of shit to say about Bischoff lately, but we keep it real here. FTR has been the lowest points of Collision almost every single week. Last week, the week before, they were the lowest, taking on the House of Black. This week, they added Daniel Garcia to the mix, and they still were the lowest of the night. That match, FTR and Daniel Garcia versus the House of Black, did 352,000 viewers. The negative was that for the second week in a row and the third of 4 weeks, FTR is at the bottom. Collision usually is very steady in their ratings with no drops, no big drops. But this episode had 3 decent-sized drops. Adam Copeland versus Lee Moriarty lost 80,000 viewers as the match went on. Collision lost 45,000 viewers as the FTR Daniel Garcia versus the House of Black match went on. And the Mogul Assembly versus Lance Archer and the Righteous lost 30,000 viewers as the match went on. Battle of the Belts. Now, we don't have Battle of the Belts every week, so I'll compare it to the last time Battle of the Belts was on. The last time Battle of the Belts was on was in October, which did 397,000 viewers. Last week's Battle of the Belts did 351,000, the lowest in its history. The high point of Battle of the Belts was the opener of Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Big Bill and Ricky Starks, the street fight, which did 494,000. More on that match in a minute. The low point was Julie Hart versus Anna Jay, but that really wasn't the story. In that same quarter was the backstage bullshit with Sonjay Dutt, Jeff Jarrett, and that whole clique. That was 316,000 viewers, and even worse. Why was that on Battle of the Belts? Why was all this backstage bullshit with Jay Lethal and Jarrett on Battle of the Belts? Were there any belts on the line? Why was that on there? Tuned off viewers, big time. So the negative of the night was Sammy Guevara and Jericho versus Big Bill and Ricky Starks lost 60,000 viewers as the match went on. Julie Hart versus Anna Jay lost 30,000 viewers as the match went on. 351,000 is the lowest rating in the history of any Battle of the Belts episodes. And for you 18 to 49 demo fanatics out there, the 18 to 49 demo was down 25% compared to the Battle of the Belts from October. The only positive was that after that 60,000 viewership drop during the opening tag, they maintained most of their audience for the rest of the night. Raw, this past Monday, January 15th, did 1,419,000 viewers. That is down from the week prior's 1,464,000. The high point of the night, the Ring General Gunther. His promo and Xavier Woods and Ludwig Kaiser's confrontation, that did 1,578,000 viewers. The low point was the Awesome Truth versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest. That did 1,237,000 viewers. The positive is that Gunther popped a good rating. 200,000 viewers tuned into Raw when Gunther came out. They had a 200,000 viewership jump. Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley's confrontation caused 155,000 viewers to increase. DIY versus Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough increased 90,000 viewers as the match went on. All nice positives. The negatives, the Awesome Truth versus JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio, plus the Shinsuke Nakamura segment, Daga. 29 men, Daga. That match and that promo caused 260,000 viewers to change the channel. They would never get those viewers back. For the final 45 minutes of Raw averaged 1,280,000 viewers. 2/3 of Raw scored under 1.5 million viewers. 5 of those quarters were under 1.4 million. All right. NXT this past Tuesday, January 16th, did 683,000 viewers, slightly down from the week prior, 722. The high point for NXT was Lyra Valkyria and that whack job, and I say that with love, Tatum Paxley versus Lola Vice and Elektra Lopez, the backstage segment with Ilya, Trick Williams, and Mello, and the backstage angle with Trey Bearhill and Dijak. They all did 745,000 viewers. Unfortunately, fans really didn't find the Dijak Trey Bearhill segment beneficial because that match and the first half of the women's battle royale, that was the lowest part of the night. Did 628,000 viewers. Not bad, for NXT standards, but still lowest part of the night. The positive was that hour one was decent amount higher ratings-wise than recent months. They kept their audience the entire hour. For the first hour of NXT, they scored 712, 728, 744, and 711. After the 50,000 viewership drop for Duke Hudson and Riley Osborne versus Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro, they maintained their viewers for the rest of the night. For the rest of the night, they scored 659, 658, 628, and 628. The 8-minute overrun, which I don't like bringing up, but it did spike 50,000 viewers for the final moments of that battle royale. The negative was that despite keeping that steady audience for hour two, it was the lowest in recent months. The tag match also lost 50,000 viewers as the match went on. Osborne and Hudson versus Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. So that leaves us Dynamite to close out today's show. Shout out to Triple X. Triple X sent the 5 spot. Triple X. What did you say, Triple X? Triple X. He says, something's in the water. I think he said. Did he say something in the water? He says, something else is wild. Sorry for the loss of your pets. Oh, something else is wide. Yeah, talking about Nick. You know what? We'll save you a comment. We'll get into it in a moment. I think he's talking about the Nick Hogan DUI video. All right, let me give you Dynamite, then we'll finish up. Dynamite this past Wednesday. Interesting numbers. Could have been better if strategically done a little differently with the matches. January 17th, Dynamite did 891,000 viewers, up from the week prior, 797. The high point was the opening quarter, the Big Bang lead-in, Samoa Joe and Hook's videos to set up the main event, and the first half of Christian Cage versus Dustin Rhodes. That did 1,069,000 viewers. But this week, you got to give Dynamite credit. Big Bang lead-in, unless people fell asleep during the Big Bang lead-in more than usual, they maintained almost their entire audience for quarter two. I'll get back to that in a moment. But that opening quarter did 1,069,000 viewers. The low point of the night, once again, the high flyers. Unless you cause an accident, a broken bone, a torn limb, something just absolutely like car accident-like, fans are not interested. Commander, El Heel, Del Viqueño, Private Party, Top Flight, Flight this, Bite this. They always, consistently, 9 times out of 10 score the lowest. Top Flight versus Private Party did 755,000 viewers. The high point of Dynamite, 2 quarters, broke 900,000 besides the Big Bang lead-in. The second quarter did almost 1 million viewers. So they maintained their audience. The third quarter that did almost 900,000 viewers scored 898. Their first hour was 969,000 viewers. And that's not inflated for a Big Bang lead-in. Hour 1 did 969, so they kept their viewership. But if you remember that night, Hour 2, they weakened that card, and it's nothing against Deonna Purrazzo, and it's nothing against the High Flyers, and it's nothing against, Bullet Club Gold or whoever else they put out there, but they consistently are not ratings draws. Deonna Purrazzo's new to AEW, so she gets a pass. But if you look at Hour 1, they loaded Hour 1. The Young Bucks returning, Christian, and I know some people who say Christian and Dustin Rhodes are really not like top. There's a lot of love for Dustin Rhodes still. When you look at who appeared on Hour 1, then you look at who appeared on Hour 2, and you see why there was a substantial drop. Samoa Joe and Hook regained almost 115,000 viewers after people tanked for Private Party and Top Flight. Top Flight and Private Party lost 80,000 viewers. As soon as that match was over, they all came back, and then another 30,000 for Samoa Joe versus Hook. So Mogul Assembly versus Bullet Club Gold, which was also part of Hour 2, lost 75,000 viewers as the match went on. Hour 1 was 969,000 viewers. Hour 2 was 812. That's a pretty significant drop. 57,000 viewers tuned out for Hour 2. So I think if AEW would have placed the matches a little bit differently, I think they could have kept many more of those viewers for Hour 2. Because they did come back for Samoa Joe and Hook. They scored a decent number. But it wasn't the highest of the night, and it was far from the lowest of the night. But they could have definitely had a better Hour 2. But I guess they just wanted at Hour 1, really loaded with stars. So, so that's pretty much it. So I said earlier, shout out to Triple X. You got a kick out of that remark about, listen, I don't like talking about any human being's private parts. But, that girlfriend of Nick Hogan did it to herself. You're telling the cop, I can't blow. Go Google me. I'm a former porn star. It's like, just shut up. Just shut up. Because I can't blow. It wasn't funny, and she just had a really poor attitude. She had a really poor attitude. And if you watch like the hour version of it, I think Hulk Hogan and her got into some exchanging of words as well. But, it sucks. It sucks that you got something like that on the road, especially after almost killing someone. He almost killed that guy. And yes, he wasn't speeding. Yes, he was speeding, driving past cops. But still, he found no problem drinking to the point that he refused the breathalyzer. If I have a drink at dinner, or maybe 2, and I get pulled over, and I know I'm not intoxicated, and a cop says, you want to take a breathalyzer? Why would I say, yes, suspend my license for the next 12 to 18 months? I don't want you to know exactly how much that I drank. If you are not drunk and you did not drink a lot, why would you give up your license like that for a year and a half? Unless you think in the back of your mind, oh, my dad's lawyer's brother, I'll still have a license, brother. Which I don't think was the case. If there was any props to Nick, he did not bring up his father, as far as I know, but I haven't watched the entire, uncut version of it. But, drinking and driving, man, no joke. And that's very telling. Now, again, if you want more on this case, because he was in court, or his lawyers were in court yesterday. So if you read news reports across the wrestling world in the next day or two, they just Googled Clearwater's court system. If you go there, you could read the updates. It's been rescheduled to the end of February, that I know, but there are a lot of court documents online that you could observe. And I think the police report, the arrest report with the complete explanation, that will be made public soon. We do not know what he scored on the blood alcohol content, because I know some of you are asking this earlier, and I'm sure some of you are going to ask me in the next day or so. As of right now, I do not know what he blew. I know what a lot of you are thinking, and I'll leave the show with this. If you're guilty of drinking, the longer you can delay getting tested at the police headquarters, the less your BAC comes back. So if you stall, if they keep you at the scene for an hour and a half, because that video does go an hour, and you get to the, there, and they fingerprint you, and they do your mug shot, and they do this, and next thing you know, it's like 2-3 hours since you got arrested. You might score under the legal limit. So my only guess out of this was he knew he was over the limit and figured, if I could stall till I go back to the police headquarters, hey, maybe I'll blow under the legal limit and I won't be as much trouble. The problem is, and I'll leave you with this, if you refuse to take a breathalyzer, your license is taken away for a year to a year and a half. It's not based on what you blow. If you refuse, that's it. I'm sure his lawyers will fight in court, especially if the results come back low. Then they could say, Your Honor, he did blow, score under this. It was under the legal limit, blah, 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 blah. If you refuse, that doesn't go away. And that's why he's in the shit that he's in right now. I appreciate everybody for the kind words. When we talk about the Seth Rollins injury, we talk about this, we talk about that, Kylan King's injury. I always do research before I go live so I could tell you exactly what, the situation is. And, especially the Seth Rollins situation, just do a search on YouTube. Just look at the thumbnails. The people are playing this out that Seth Rollins will be out of action for 6 months. People are playing off that he will likely need surgery. Anything to draw you in. And that's so fucking dishonest. But, hey, if they keep suckering the same people that tune in every time, then I guess I owe those people a compliment, right? But don't forget, January 29th, Kev Castle and yours truly return full-time to Monday nights. The show will air live every Monday on Discord. Now, I did update the video on YouTube about channel membership because the DTKC show will be available there as well. I explain why, I explain when, and I explain how. So check out that video. And even if you have no interest in becoming a channel member, you may want to check out the video anyway, because there's a couple of vintage audio clips spliced in there from a couple of old DTKC show episodes. So if you want a good laugh, you could go check out that video. So anywhere on the page, if you see the word join, click on it and just watch the video. It's pretty funny. But and this Tuesday, Kevin and I will be doing a test run on Discord. So if you're a member on a Discord, you can join us Tuesday live as we record our preview and predictions. And as you can see in the background, we have a couple of long shots possibly going down, and we'll, you get the deal. So I'm going to jet out of here. If you're around tomorrow night, join me live, 8:05 p.m. for the sit down. Next Saturday will be the last regular Saturday morning show for a little while. When we need to do special episodes, we will do them. But as far as Saturdays go, next Saturday will be it for a little while. So I get to sleep late. Be well, everybody.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.